Good morning. What a joy to be back together again this morning, and a joy to be with you again this morning. The last 2 months have been a time of restoration and renewal for me as I've been on sabbatical. And I'd love to be able to bring some of that back to share with you. I've got pictures from the trip that we took to Hawaii that I'd love to share with you, but maybe some Sunday morning might not be the right time to do that. I would like to share a little with you this morning of my experience at the Forrest Refuge Meditation Center in Barre, Massachusetts. As most of you know, I am intensely devoted to Vipassana, roughly translated as insight meditation. I've been practicing this Buddhist meditation method for over 35 years. And I've gained a lot of benefit from practicing this meditation on a daily basis. But there are limits to how much progress can happen in daily practice. Intensive practice at a meditation retreat center can accelerate the gains of growth and development of one's wisdom and compassion. Buddhism is a religious tradition that focuses primarily on just one thing: relieving the mental component of suffering. The Buddha had digestive problems and back pain. He couldn't escape. The unpleasantness of having a body can't be fixed. It turns out, however, that addressing just this mental component of suffering has enormous consequences for human well-being and happiness. May my words this morning help ease any suffering you are experiencing or may have brought with you. May this service enlighten your mind and stimulate greater insight and understanding. May you experience here compassion and loving kindness as we join together in the celebration of life. And let us light our chalice this morning with the words that you'll see at the bottom of the screen. Welcoming all free seekers of truth and meaning, we gather to excite the human spirit, to inspire its growth and development, to respond morally and ethically to a troubled world, and to sustain a vital and nurturing religious community. And let us sing together a song that is with Elena Karpov doing it, which is a meditation on breathing.
When I breathe out, I breathe out, breathe out. Every day we can wake up, begin again. This is a new day. Open your eyes, the sun has never shone this way. It's never been this day.
thank our children for being part of our service, and if they would like to go to your classrooms, I encourage you to do that at this time. And while our children are leaving, I think we're going to be welcoming our Facebook folks. Are we welcoming our Facebook? Yes, Facebook is, hello, Facebook world out there. Glad to have you with us this morning. My name is Reverend Sam Trumbore, and I serve as minister of this congregation. And the next thing you are going to see is a video that I produced back in 2006. That was my first visit to the Forrest Refuge Retreat Center. And I wanted to bring that back to share with the congregation because that was my first sabbatical in 2006 and the first thing that I did. So if we could share that, and it'll give you a little taste of what I was experiencing this past beginning of this month. I began my sabbatical at the Forrest Refuge, part of the Insight Meditation Facility in Barre, Massachusetts, on January 1st. Completed just a few years ago, everything is designed to help each person on retreat become quiet and peaceful. There are only about 30 rooms for yogis on retreat, and the meditation hall can probably only fit less than 50 people. As you look to the left and then to the right, you get a sense of the beauty of this space. The meditation hall is isolated at one end of the complex, surrounded by woods. The hallway to the meditation hall has a narrow side room for walking meditation. Both this walking area, the hallway, and the meditation hall all have radiant heat, which makes them very pleasant in the dead of winter. Here is a picture of the south-facing room I stayed in, with all the amenities I needed, including a closet, a desk, these generous windows, and an individual thermostat to control my room's temperature. The room warmed nicely on sunny days, making it an enjoyable place to do meditation. I kind of felt like I was staying in a 4-star meditation hotel, very different from the experience at a meditation center in Thailand. If you look out the window, you can see there is an open field. And if you look a little to the left, there's a statue of the Buddha. We ate 2 meals, breakfast at 6:30 in the morning and the main meal before noon. No meals were served after noon, but a snack could be had if desired between 5 and 6. This is the window where people deposited their soiled dishes. My yogi job was to wash the dishes. This seemed like an enormous, onerous job the first few days, but I applied my mindfulness to the task and discovered how to do the job more efficiently. I felt myself finding a rhythm for the job that felt effortless, joyful, even beautiful. Being a former engineer, I looked for ways to do the job better and better with the least amount of noise and wasted water, effort, and soap. In the morning, we chanted this metta chant in Pali, the language the Buddhists thought to have spoken. It took me practically to the end of my retreat to figure out how to do it in harmony with the leader. The chant helped me deepen my practice of loving kindness. This meditation retreat was very important for deepening and strengthening my meditation practice. I had some new experiences and insight that expanded my wisdom and compassion. I realized I'm good enough to be acceptable, but there is plenty of room to get better. Valuable as developing blissful states of consciousness are, they are not the goal of Buddhist meditation. The balance of concentration, mindfulness, with right effort and action and bliss and joy are critical to inviting the experience of awakening to occur. I'd like to share with you a meditation from the Karaniya Metta Sutta, which is found in the Pali Buddhist texts and translated by Ratna Prabha. And the word metta translates as friendly loving kindness and is defined by this text in a sense. So I encourage us to turn inward to receive these words. The text encourages us to meditate like this. May all be happy and secure. May all beings become happy in their heart of hearts. And think of every living thing without exception, the weak and the strong, from the smallest to the largest, whether you can see them or not, living nearby or far away, beings living now or yet to arise. May all beings become happy in their heart of hearts. May no one deceive or look down on anyone anywhere for any reason, whether through feeling angry or through reacting to someone else. May no one want another to suffer. As strongly as a mother, perhaps risking her life, cherishes her child, her only child, develop an unlimited heart for all beings. Develop an unlimited heart of friendliness for the entire universe, sending metta above, below, and all around, beyond all narrowness, beyond all rivalry, beyond all hatred. Whether you are staying in one place or traveling, sitting down or in bed, in all your waking hours, rest in this mindfulness, which is known as like living in a heavenly abode right here and now. In this way, you will come to let go of opinions, be spontaneously ethical, and have perfect insight. And leaving behind cravings for sense pleasures from the rounds of rebirth, you will finally be completely free. Let us take these words and our own thoughts, reflections, and prayers into a time of silence. March 1st wasn't the most auspicious time to cut off all contact with the outside world and begin 14 days of secluded meditation retreat. As most of you will remember, February 24th, the invasion of Ukraine began on a Thursday. America and European expectations at the time were that Ukrainians would lose quickly because of Russia's overwhelming force. By Monday, February 28th, everything had changed. Russia encountered fierce resistance. Europe and the United States rallied to support Ukraine. Putin had put Russia's nuclear forces on high alert. It looked like World War III could begin just as I was leaving home to drive to Massachusetts. And I wouldn't be allowed to check my cell phone for the latest news for the next 2 weeks. I've been waiting, though, to return to the Forrest Refuge to meditate, since this congregation gave me a generous gift certificate for staying there as part of my 20th anniversary celebration. This was an extremely precious opportunity for a long, intensive meditation retreat. I decided I wouldn't let Putin's invasion delay it. The only thing that might have stopped my attendance was a positive COVID rapid test that I had to take when I arrived. For those of us who might wonder, what in the world would motivate someone to meditate from early in the morning all day into the night in silence, alternating, sitting, walking, standing, even lying down postures? Here's a quick primer for the value of this kind of experience. Evolution has gifted our species with a capacity to think, communicate, remember, and to imagine abstract terms, thanks to the amazing power of our cerebral cortex. The problem is there isn't just one mind. There are many components to our mind that often do not coordinate and play well together. Traumatic experiences, cravings, misunderstandings and confusion, fears, attachments, likes and dislikes, all can distort our thinking, disturbing and unbalancing mental processes. This distortion of consciousness isn't just an occasional event for most of us. It happens a lot, every day. And when it does, the result is unhappiness, suffering, and misery. Over 2,500 years ago, Prince Siddhartha Gautama was quite disturbed too by the unhappiness, suffering, and misery he saw all around him, even among the comfortable and the prosperous. After 6 years of intense effort, he unraveled the problem and discovered a solution to the pervasive human dilemma of a brain out of balance in the thrall of greed, hatred, and delusion. He took the name Buddha, which means one who is awake and knows the way to liberation from suffering. What is most remarkable about this solution he discovered is that we all have access to it, sometimes referred to as everyone having Buddha nature. No God or celestial being need intervene on our behalf. Through the training of the mind, the solution can be discovered through direct personal experience. Every aspect of a meditation center is designed to support finding the solution that the Buddha discovered. One goes to a meditation center to practice and train the mind in certain skills that lead toward that solution to solve the problem of suffering. One of those skills is focusing the mind to initiate calm and tranquility, peace and joy. Another skill is witnessing the body, mind in action and in rest. Learning how the brain works by witnessing it from the inside of the body as sensations, feelings, and thoughts arise and pass away. One amazing quality of our minds is our ability to self-reflexively witness our brain activity. Sitting quietly without moving can be very helpful in that witnessing and learning process. Witnessing and learning, however, isn't enough to get to the solution. We also need to understand what helps us get closer to the solution or moves us further away. Once the mind is sharp and clear, it's knowing awareness of the opportunities for volitional choice become clearer and more important. Clarity of opportunity for action are not enough, however. We also need to know what the wise, caring, helpful, and wholesome choices are. And we need to know what the unwise, uncaring, unhelpful, and unwholesome choices are that will lead to greater suffering and misery. And whatever we choose to do, attentiveness to that self-reflective process of witnessing the results of that action will continue that learning and add to our wisdom. Meditation retreats simplify life and slow the mind down, making that witnessing and learning much easier, contributing to breakthroughs of self-understanding, growth, and development. To illustrate this process, here are a few examples of insights over the course of the 2 weeks that I spent at the Forrest Refuge. Many of you are aware of my dysfunctional digestive tract. There are many foods and some spices that cause me digestive malfunction. This has been a problem for me throughout life and at meditation retreats. I vowed to eat very simply, just rice, tofu, and beans mostly, so that I wouldn't have any intestinal pain or discomfort. Sadly, for a good portion of the retreat, I did have digestive problems. Thankfully, not every day, and sometimes only for a few hours during a day. But through careful witnessing of all the foods that entered my mouth and where and when I felt intestinal pain, I deduced 2 foods I was eating that were causing me problems that I wasn't aware of before: raisins and apples. My ignorance of these sensitivities caused unwise food choices. A few raisins in my bowl of millet or quinoa porridge in the morning for breakfast that yielded intestinal suffering later in the afternoon as a result. Another problem I encountered at the meditation center was the dryness of the air. The first night I woke up in the middle of the night with pain in my nose and sinuses from dehydration. Since I didn't pack a humidifier with me, I was concerned about what I was going to do. I tried a wet washcloth on my face at night, and that didn't work very well. I put a damp towel after my shower near my bed, and that didn't work very well either. I washed my clothes halfway through, and instead of putting them in the dryer, I got a clothes rack out, a drying rack, and loaded all my laundry on that. And that worked pretty well until the laundry was dry. What did help, and this is something that we had to do because of COVID, was wear a face mask as I was sleeping. That moistness of my breath stayed in the mask, keeping my nose and my sinuses hydrated. The food and the dryness of the air could be addressed through my actions. This next problem was a little more difficult. Meditation requires focusing the mind and observing what arises and passes away moment to moment. Distractions are not helpful. One of the most challenging sources of distractions are sounds. You can close your eyes and your mouth, but you can't close your ears. The meditator sitting next to me was an older gentleman. He had built a throne of cushions and pillows. Even with all these comforts, he moved and adjusted his posture every 5 to 10 seconds for the entire meditation period. If we were at a Zen sesshin, they would have whacked him with a stick or thrown him out. Typically, people are expected to sit as much as possible without moving during a meditation period. Maybe move once very quietly if a painful position might be threatening bodily harm. This actually is an interesting training in impermanence. If the nose itches, the meditator doesn't move. Almost always, the itch goes away all by itself. This becomes a lesson in non-reactivity. We can wisely choose when to respond to what arises and when not to respond, acting compulsively. This is a taste of freedom and liberation. At first, I became agitated and a little angry at this restless fellow disturbing my meditation. Then I discovered I could be non-reactive by using this fellow's restless energy as a reminder to check my attention. Each time he moved, I checked myself to recognize whether I was daydreaming or watching my breath come in and out. I was able to tap this restless energy as a tool to deepen my meditation practice. Craving and aversion are big impediments to meditation practice. After witnessing my mind very closely over many, many years now, I'm intimately familiar with this problem. It is a very hard problem to resolve because humans are strongly driven by our likes and our dislikes. I've been able to eliminate many foods that bother my digestive system I still crave, but resist giving up others that I like that cause more minor problems. And that's going on right now for me with apples. It can be a hard struggle to choose digestive happiness over craving. I found what seemed to me like a very promising solution to this problem. In meditation practice, there is a special state of deep concentration called the jhanas. That's J-H-A-N-A-S, the jhanas. In these deep states of meditative absorption, the meditator experiences seclusion from the senses. Craving, pain, aversion, restlessness, drowsiness, and doubt all disappear. The mind is filled with rapture, bliss, joy, absorbed in concentrated, single-pointed awareness of the meditation object. A happiness is experienced that is independent of the senses. Not only is this happiness possible, but the meditator can also develop the skill to achieve this state by choice when they wish to experience it. Sounds pretty attractive, doesn't it? At the Forrest Refuge, meditators get to meet with one of the 2 meditation teachers on duty every 4 days. In my first interview, I revealed my plan. I wanted to experience the jhanas as part of my retreat and develop access to them. The teacher cautioned me that it required skillful practice to do that. The jhanas couldn't be achieved by manipulating the mind into a particular state. A better way to approach them was to relax into them and let go. I took this guidance and put it aside as I fiercely attended to my breath, driving out other thoughts. As I deepened my concentration and breath on the breath alone, I found my body relaxed and the stress drained away. I started to feel these rapturous feelings and a sense of happiness. This was very exciting. Yet as I started to go deeper and closer, my impulse was to want to go deeper, sort of reaching for it, and it would stop. I was finding it very difficult to just relax into the experience and let go rather than making myself relax and let go. What initially helped in this process was imagining this relaxing and letting go process as moving into a kind of yin energy. This approach was very different than the driving effort, kind of maybe a yang energy. I needed to concentrate my mind on the breath and screen out the distractions. I needed the yang energy to get close and then needed to switch to this yin energy to get near to that doorway, to the jhanas. Unfortunately, cultivating that yin energy had a side effect of triggering a significant amount of sexual energy. That energy completely distracted me from the breath, disrupting my practice. I was able to get back on track somewhat by channeling that sexual energy up into my heart through cultivating loving kindness, through meditation, that actually is also a doorway into these jhanas. Unfortunately, I was less successful at that than necessary to get through the door. By the end of the retreat, I'd still not been able to experience the jhana state, though the teacher told me that I was in the neighborhood of the jhana, which I found frustrating. I made the mistake thinking that I could use the jhanas as a way to free myself from craving, substituting a spiritual pleasure for a sensual one. What blocked the doorway was the very thing I was seeking to escape. I would have to find another way to extinguish the hold craving had on my mind. That other way was a other side of meditation practice, that witnessing and knowing process, rather than the one-pointed concentration methods. I needed to witness the unsatisfactory nature of those cravings more deeply so that they couldn't trip me up so easily. I recognized I could do that witnessing work now that I've returned home. After all, dealing with the hindrances that block the awakening process are all part of the awakening process. And maybe there aren't any shortcuts. One of the most profound experiences that I had at my first meditation retreat at the Forrest Refuge in 2006 was discovering that I wasn't doing the meditation. The meditation was doing me. It had its own organic process. Yes, I needed to understand how to do the meditation practice techniques that I'd learned. And yes, I needed to know how to appropriately deal with the hindrances that interfere with the practice. Yet more important than all my meditation skills, what I needed to do was to arrive at the cushion, use that yang energy to follow my breath, and then get out of the way, bringing a kind of yin energy to the moment. I'd forgotten this wisdom by bringing my agenda, my overactive wanting yang energy to this retreat. I hope not to make that mistake again. I drove home March 14th after chipping layers of ice off my car windows and exhaustively cleaning my room for the next retreatant. I drove home with a sense of satisfaction, happiness, peace, and ease. I knew that that state wouldn't last, but in that moment, knowing that such a state was possible is a sense of relief and a motivation to keep going, to keep striving for a greater appreciation and ability to embody the solution the Buddha discovered, the solution to the pervasive suffering that burdens the world. May my effort and my accumulated wisdom and a capacity for compassion be a source of happiness, peace, and ease for the members and friends of this congregation, or for our larger community, for Unitarian Universalism, and maybe for our nation and our world. So be it.
Good morning. I'm Al DeSalvo, and I am the service associate for today. And among my duties, the first one is the offering. An important way that we celebrate life each Sunday is by offering an opportunity to practice generosity. Members and friends support our congregation with an annual pledge paid throughout the year. Another way to support the good work of this congregation is by making a generous contribution as we pass the plate, or by way of one of the options that is shown on the next slide. If you are joining us virtually, you can click on the tiny URL link in the chat window to contribute, or you can send a text to the number shown on the screen. The examples on the slide show how to label your text to indicate the amount and the purpose or the intent of your gift. We now must say goodbye to our Facebook friends, but please consider joining us on Zoom next time, or better still, visit us in person at 405 Washington Avenue in Albany. You can find more information on our website at albanyuu.org. The offertory today is Gaudeamus Hodie by Natalie Sleeth, and the musicians are the Albany UU Virtual Choir.
As I select a stone for all the joys and sorrows that have been left unspoken, let us hold all that we've heard and felt in our hearts. And let us turn inward for these words from Sheldon Bennett. O deep mystery of our lives, voice of our hearts and light in our minds, in the joyful freedom of our fellowship, we are here together as adventurers, called forth in spirit, moving, yearning, questing, pushing the limits of our lives outwards to what is the more loving and just, the more beautiful and true. We are struck in awe before the great mystery of the cosmos. We are powerfully moved by a deep concern for our world and our care for one another. The Spirit moves in us as a free religious community joined in a common covenant of aspiration, commitment, and hope. May ours be a faith that is more than just beautiful words and high ideals. May ours be a faith of vitality and commitment, a faith that burns in our hearts and blazes in our minds. May ours be a faith that shines to the world as the light of deeds and as the witness of actions. O source and spirit of our lives, may we respond boldly to your call to adventure, for justice, for love, and for joy. Amen. Let us close with this final hymn, Be ye lamps unto yourselves. These words are attributed to the Buddha. In fact, these are very rough translations of his last words.
As we extinguish the chalice, please join with the words that's shown on the screen. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. We conclude our service with a night chant Zen practitioners do at the end of the day during a meditation retreat they call sesshin. Let me respectfully remind you, life and death are of supreme importance. Time passes swiftly and opportunity is lost. Let us awaken. Awaken. Take heed. Do not squander your life. Let us leave this place with heightened awareness of the preciousness of human birth and the great opportunity we have right now to awaken. Go in peace, make peace, be at peace. Our thanks today to our musicians, Elena Karpov and the Albany UU Virtual Choir, and to our ushers, Kristen Abbas, Don Odell, and Kathy Harris. Thanks to our pastoral care associates, Sharon Babila on Zoom and Sandy Stone here in Community Hall. Service associate today is yours truly, Alda Salvo. Our welcomers were Elizabeth Barbarian and Amy Lent. Reader is Molly Daniels. Our office support today was Tammy Goddard and Patience Burchett. And our technical support up in the clouds, Kate Pierce and Chuck Manning. And our flowers today, these beautiful planter, is given by Susan Richardson and Megan Bueller, arranged by Cindy Herrick, in memory of Carl Richardson, March 27th, 1971 to April 1st, 1998. I will read these announcements. Join us today at 11:45 after the service on Zoom to learn about participating in the UU Article Study, Article 2, Study Commission. UU Principles and Sources Survey. The survey requires serious thought about our fundamental principles and values. Remain on this Sunday service link to join, and that's at 11:45. Join Reverend Sam for a mindfulness meditation workshop in person or by way of Zoom on April 8th and 9th, that's next week. This meditation training and practice workshop will be Friday 6 to 9 and Saturday 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. It gives the participants an opportunity to learn Buddhist mindfulness meditation techniques and or refresh and deepen their meditation practice. All are welcome for the first timers to experts. You can email Reverend Sam for more information or to register at minister@albanyuu.org. Our Green Sanctuary Forum, The Climate Conundrum, is April 11th at 7 o'clock p.m. in Community Hall and on Zoom also. And it's presented by Paul Fisk, an activist with the Climate Reality Project, addressing Why is such an uphill battle to combat climate change? Use this link to join remotely. And it is uso2web.zoom.us. Well, I'm not going to read it, but it's on the screen, and I'm sure you can get it in the announcements that you could read on our daily reminders. And also, most importantly, thank you for your continued commitment to Albany UU. Our stewardship campaign is underway. Reviewing commitment, renewing our community is the theme, and it's well underway. Many thanks to all who submitted their pledge. For those who haven't yet pledged, you need to return by April 10th. Remember to include your UU Bucks raffle ticket when you return your pledge. You can qualify for a drawing. To receive Albany UU news, contact Tammy Goddard at admin@albanyuu.org.